In this video, I'll walk you through that can be sent to YouTube. An encoder lets you share your media assets. Scene layouts and shots allow you to change the layout of your camera source. Once you've added a source, you can then choose where it shows up on screen. Ensure audio is added. Most are tricky, so make sure after adding all your sources, adjust them by dragging them on the task of encoding. To help you see which streaming and manage live streams, watch this playlist and check out the Help Center articles linked below in the description. Thanks for watching.
Today we're going to go over adding a game source to OBS or Streamlabs OBS. Depending on which one you're using, it's going to be the same for both. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. So in the background, I already have PUBG loaded up. And there's a couple of different options when you want to capture the screen here. Display capture, window capture, game capture. So if you're going to capture a game, this works for most games. Some games actually don't go over and adding a game source to OBS or Streamlabs OBS. Game capture, depending on which one you're using, it's going to be the same for capturing games. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. Capture the screen. Window capture, game capture, window capture, game capture. You might not have luck. So if you're going to capture a game, this works like these. So we're going to go ahead and choose game capture. We're going to hit add source. We're adding a game source to OBS or Streamlabs OBS.
And download the software to our computer. So we're going to set up Streamlabs OBS. We're going to have to go through their turn to log into the account to connect Streamlabs with our streaming platform. So we're going to select the platform that we are streaming to. Once we've logged into our platform's account, we now have two options that we can select between when setting up Streamlabs OBS. Now, as I said, this is very similar to OBS Studio. What Streamlabs OBS has done is they've allowed you to import settings from OBS Studio if you've already been working with OBS Studio to make your job a little bit easier. You can also select Start Fresh. This is what we're going to do today for the sake of exploring Streamlabs OBS. Once we've done that, we're going to be able to set up our mic and our webcam. And so we're going to go down here to select our webcam, and then down here to select our microphone. Click continue. Once we've done that, we're going to see a blank canvas within Streamlabs. There's quite a few differences with Streamlabs OBS in comparison to OBS Studio, such as the menu options up at the top left, like the editor and the themes that you can select from, as well as the dashboard button right here. But we'll go into a lot of this throughout the video. Down on the bottom left right here, we're going to see that there is a collection of scenes. In this case, there's only one scene created currently, and this is by default when you begin in Streamlabs. In order to add a scene, we're going to click on the plus sign here to add a new scene, and we can name this scene whatever we'd like. We'll call it Scene 2. Now that we've added that scene, we're going to have two blank scenes within Streamlabs that we can rotate between. Now what we need to do is we need to add sources to that scene. In order to do that, we're going to go down to the bottom middle here where it says Sources, and we're going to go to the plus sign. You're going to see a pop-up menu that's going to give you a ton of different options of different sources that you can add to your scene. So let's add a few sources here. To begin, let's add a background to our scene here. Let's call this background, and we're going to click add source. It's going to give us an option to search for a file on our computer. I'm going to select this awesome Streamloots background, and I'm going to click done. Once I do that, I can resize this however I would like and fill out the scene, or I could add it to just a part of the scene. All right, now that we've added a background, let's add a webcam. We're going to go to video capture device, and we're going to click add source, and we'll label this webcam. Let's click add source, and then we're going to be able to select from any of the webcams that are connected to our computer currently. So let's select this webcam here, and we're going to click done, and now we can move this and drag it wherever we would like. So let's say I wanted to add a display capture so that my viewers can see what I'm looking at on my monitor. For example, if I'm searching the web or anything like that, I could do that simply by adding a display capture, adding source. We'll leave it named display capture. So let's select the one we're currently using. And now that I've done that, you're going to be able to see everything that I'm looking at. Now, what I want to show you is that if you go down below in the sources, you should think of the sources like a sandwich. It's essentially different pieces that
adding a game source. A alt select. Don't go over and adding a game source.
That are layered together from top to bottom. So what you see at the top is going to be in front versus what's at the bottom, which is going to be in the back. So if I move the display capture, for example, behind the webcam, it's now going to reveal my webcam. And now we still don't see the background, so let's move the display capture behind the background. And now that's going to hide the display capture. Resizing and relocating your sources is a great way to make sure that your scene looks exactly the way that you want it to look. So let's say we want to highlight every time somebody performs an action in the channel, such as following, hosting, donating, or subscribing. In order to do that, we're going to add something called a widget. And Streamlabs has a ton of different options here. The one that we want to talk about is the alert box. And the alert box is going to highlight donations, subscriptions, follows, bits or embers, hosts. So let's add that source, and we're going to label it alert box. And we're going to have a menu that's going to give us a ton of different options of the actions we want to highlight within that box. We can get a preview of what's going to happen in the alert, and we can adjust the layout as well as the sources and settings. If we want to test what each of those alerts looks like, we can click test widgets, and let's get an example of what the follow alert is going to look like for the viewer. So when I click the test follow, it's going to give me a preview of what the viewer is going to see when they follow the channel. When we click done, it's going to show that our alert box is located right here. So we can move this, resize it, and relocate it wherever we would like on our scene. So now that we've talked about what your viewers are going to see in the scene, we're also going to talk about what your viewers are going to hear. And so we're going to look at the mixer at the bottom right here, and you're going to see a list of all of the audio inputs and outputs that are added as sources on a particular scene. To edit those sources, we can click on the settings wheel here. So what you're going to see here is a list of all of the audio outputs and inputs within your scene. For example, the desktop audio is going to capture all of the audio from your computer. So if you add music or your gameplay audio, all of that is going to be impacted by setting the volume here. Your mic and aux is your audio input, which is what you're hearing right now. This, I like to highly recommend that you set your desktop audio to a volume that's not going to overpower your microphone. The last thing that you want is for your viewer to be trying to understand what you're saying while they're listening to the gameplay. So I recommend setting the desktop audio to 50% or 60%, and then your mic audio to 100%. Something else that's built into the editor is what's called their mini feed, and this actually shows any notification or alert that's happening in real time while you're streaming. So for example, follows or any sort of currency within the streaming platform that's being used, hosts, all of that can be seen right here. If you go over to the right, you're going to see a few other options for the mini feed, such as popping out the event filtering options. So this is going to allow you to select what you want to see in your particular mini feed. Here and add widgets to our stream by clicking on the All Widgets tab here. And maybe we end up wanting to add merch to our stream. So people can actually go to the Streamlabs website, your personal Streamlabs website, and purchase merchandise from you. And then when they purchase that, that can be an alert that you add in as well. All of this can be configured on the dashboard here on streamlabs.com and then added into the editor of Streamlabs OBS software. Okay, so now that we've talked about the dashboard and all of the things that you can configure there, what I want to talk about is the Streamlabs OBS themes. And this is where I would say Streamlabs OBS really shines. So we're going to go up to the top left and we're going to click on themes. So what you're seeing here is essentially a theme. All right, so now we've got our sources and our scenes all set. Our audio levels are looking good. We can see that we've got our notifications set so we know what's going on with our stream when we're live. What we need to do is a really important step and edit the settings within Streamlabs OBS. So we're gonna go down to the bottom left right here, and we're gonna click on the settings wheel. And what you're gonna see here is all of the various settings that you can edit before you go live. The settings that we're gonna look at specifically in this video are output, audio, video, hotkeys, scene collections, and appearance. So let's start with the output. Under output mode, you can select simple or advanced. Let's look at the simple option here. Under simple mode, we can select the quality of our stream and the quality of our recordings. So under video bitrate for the stream, what we need to do is we need to run a speed test to find out what number we need to put here. Simply type in speed test on Google, run speed test. Once we've established our upload speed, what we want to do is we want to take half of that and put that number in the video bitrate. For example, if my upload speed is 12 megabits per second, what I want to do is I want to take half of that, which would be 6,000, and put that in the video bitrate category. It should be noted here that every streaming platform has a different recommendation for the video bitrate based on the type of quality you're trying to push out to the platform. For example, I push mine at 1080p, 60 frames per second. But if you're trying to push out a certain resolution and frame rate, that's going to be impacted by your video bitrate. Under encoding, we're going to select the processor that we want to use to process the data of our stream. The X264 uses your CPU's processor to process data, and this can actually add a lot of load onto your PC and cause a lot of issues as far as quality is concerned. The NVENC encoder is recommended as it uses your graphics card and can handle the processing a lot better than your CPU typically. Now there's two options of NVENC. You can use the standard NVENC or the NVENC New. I highly recommend using the hardware NVENC New as this is the most updated for Streamlabs OBS. And then finally under audio bitrate, we're going to select 128 for the bitrate as this is what's most widely accepted by stream platforms. When we scroll down to the recording section, this is going to be some settings that impact if we're recording a static video, not live streaming, but just a video that we're recording similar to this one. We're going to select our recording path, which means the folder that those videos are going to be saved to. And then we're also going to select the stream quality. I highly recommend using the indistinguishable quality large file size. The recording format, we're going to select MP4. This is really the most widely accepted file format for like editing or other things that you might do with the video file. And then similar as before, we're going to select the hardware NVENC New for the encoder. And now that we've done that, let's take a look at the advanced mode under output. Specifically, what I want to look at is just a few of them for the sake of this video. So we're going to want to make sure our encoder again is set to hardware NVENC New. And we're also going to want to leave this checked, this enforce streaming service encoder settings, because this is going to help us pair our encoding settings with the platform that we're streaming to. We're going to want to leave the rate control to constant bitrate or CBR. We're going to want to make sure that we use the bitrate we determined before in the bitrate category here. And then we're going to want to set the keyframe intervals to 2. For preset, we can leave this at quality, and this is a setting that you can adjust depending on any quality loss that you see while you're streaming. For the profile, you can leave this at high. Some people make an adjustment to the... So under the video settings, we can adjust the canvas, which is our base PC. You might see down. Now this number is going to be determined by the game. So the games that I stream are high frame rate games. I stream at 60 frames per second. Under the audio tab, we're going to select our desktop audio device. And then under mic, what your needs are while you're streaming. Under the Scene Collections tab, you're going to be able to export and import any of the third-party scene collections and overlays that you've installed on your computer. And the last setting for this video we're going to look at is appearance, and this is where we can set the theme for Streamlabs OBS. I particularly like the night theme. We can also change the scene item selection mode, as well as add a live dock for our chat. If this is selected, we can see it pop up right here. And then when we go back to the appearance tab, we can change the font size of the text in that chat box. Once you've decided what you'd like, click done. Now that you've got everything set the way that you like, you are ready to hit that go live button. And that's it for this video, you guys. I hope it was helpful.